Thank you for joining us in Agent in the Spotlight. I'm Charlie Bannan, Managing Director at Haus. Today we've got Cliona, who is our head residential sales trainer. Anyone who's joined the residential sales team over the past 3 years has been trained and guided by Cliona. So it'll be great to sit down with her and get some insights as to how she sees the training, how she sees the team adapting to the training. Thanks for joining us.
Amazing, great to be here.
What started your journey into the training department at Haus?
So my journey's been, I suppose if we take it back even a step further, a little bit probably unconventional in terms of ending up in this role currently. So I actually used to be a pharmacist in Ireland before I actually moved here to Dubai. And when I moved here, I joined haus as an agent. So initially, I suppose my experience as an agent has taught me a lot. I have been there, I've been that person in the training room learning all about, how to be an agent without having prior experience. I came in, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for the challenge. And I experienced lots of highs and lows in those first few months. And it was kind of an approach that was made to me in terms of about 7 months into the job. Our trainer was leaving haus to move on to another opportunity, and they came to me and kind of, I suppose, recognized that maybe I'd have some skill sets that would probably lean towards being good at a training role, along with now having about 7 months of experience in the job. And I was doing really well. I loved my job. It was very difficult to make that decision on, do I take this path or do I stay doing what I'm doing? But I suppose the way I viewed it was training. There's one role right now in haus, agent roles. I can be an agent again in the future if I wish to. So I took the training role. And I have to say, I think I've just grown exponentially in the last years since I've taken that role. I think my skills from being a pharmacist, from going from counselling patients on medications, devices, I actually trained staff in that role as well, in that position, to then being able to use my real estate knowledge and then continue to grow my knowledge in this industry. I think it's lent to me being quite good at what I do.
I often also hear people in the office ask you, I've got a bit of a cold, what should I ask from the doctor? So it definitely comes in to help in many ways.
Funny you say that. I've had one of the directors of the company message me this morning for advice. So I am known as the
go-to clinic.
Which I enjoy because it keeps me, using those skills as well. But I think as a trainer, a huge part of being a good trainer is being able to communicate how to do steps or instill information or knowledge or help out in a crisis potentially as well. Someone's really coming to you in a stressful position with a deal, and I think I'm quite good under pressure in that sense. So you have to remain calm. You have to be able to allow them to be calm in the scenario and logically work through a plan of how they can move forward.
No, you're right, because a lot of agents out there that are really good at what they do, and not just agents, I think in any walk of life. Someone could be really good at what they do, the top of their game, but not be able to break down the process and teach someone else.
Yeah,
and that's a skill.
Yeah, it's a big misconception. I feel that, a lot of trainers typically might be failed agents or people who aren't good as an agent, but I definitely disagree with maybe that statement in terms of the best agents in haus probably wouldn't make great trainers in that they might not have the patience to really break down the job into the basics and the first things that you need to know. And then as that person grows in their journey, to be able to then understand maybe where they lack certain skills or knowledge, or they might need support. And, I think I'm a very patient person in my job, regardless of whether you've done this for years and you've come to us from maybe another company with lots of, experience, or whether you're brand new to haus, brand new to Dubai, brand new to the industry. I think I can very much tailor the approach of what kind of training and support that kind of person needs. And I think that's something not everyone probably would be able to do.
I completely agree. And I also see, we do lots of the surveys, like anonymous surveys at the end of the training or throughout someone's career at Haus, and the amount of times I read and see people that are new to industry or people that have come from other companies state that the training is phenomenal. I learned so much. And that's a testament, because salespeople, generally speaking, dread the training room, dread the boardroom, because normally it's not that useful, and I get it, and it's quite time consuming as opposed to useful to their time. But we seem to have got that right, and I think I see you heading up and speaking to a lot of the training team about ways to adapt how we train people.
Yeah.
And a big conversation over the last year or so has been, well, how do people learn best? And I remember we was fitting out the training rooms, there was feedback on, no, we need different chairs because these ones get uncomfortable after a few hours, and all of these micro things that no one would think about unless they're 3 years deep into training people and understanding what works and what doesn't. How do you think our training helps to keep people engaged, not just from a new agent perspective, but also from existing talent in the market that then comes to work at Haus and Haus?
I think a big part of, there's a few things that you've mentioned there, but I think a big part of what makes Haus and Haus's training great is it's not just me. We've got 4 trainers.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future as we grow, there may even be more. And I think our own personal strengths, weaknesses, skills are quite different. I, since the team has grown, have learned a lot from some of the other individuals within the team. So I think having a team and not just a one person in that role, I think that really helps us maybe highlight gaps with each other's maybe style of training or the content we're kind of sharing with agents or whatever else. So I think that's a big plus for Haus, and that we've got 4. And then I think the other part of what makes Haus and Haus great at being able to keep maybe experienced agents engaged is it's not just we put information on a slide or we make you watch a video and that's all we offer. It's the actual delivery of the content. It's the environment that we train you in. It's the fact we use diverse types of content in delivery, whether it's a mixture of video, group work, potentially giving you some time to go away and actually prepare something and bring that back in the following day. So it actually allows you to go and actually learn a lot. And I also think our own knowledge as trainers, as we've A, been in the role, all of us at one point, and B, we've also not just done this for 2 months. I've done it for over 3 years in training, nearly 4 years in this industry in real estate. And I've got to learn from our directors, our managing directors, our managers, our top agents. We work very closely with a guy called Josh Fegan, and he's obviously given me a lot of my learnings in terms of then me being able to pass that on to new people. So when we take someone even into the business who maybe has buckets of experience, in fact, I had someone join just this month who's been in the role for 6 years, 2 years with one company, 4 years with another. And he initially was quite reluctant to come into training. He sat through the training for the week, and I kind of pulled him aside after 3 days and I said, how are you getting on? He's very engaged throughout, and he was saying how unbelievable things were. And I think you get the feedback in the feedback forums, and I do think it's really great for me to hear that what I am actually, training and what I am, giving to these new agents is actually really valuable content.
Yeah, it's a true testament to you. I think something that I get asked a lot by new people, interviews, that one bit of advice would you give to someone who's new to this industry when it comes to working in real estate? You're probably one of the best minds to ask this question.
There's probably so many things I could say here. I think this job, and I think even, there's lots of industries you could say this for, but I think this job is so customer service focused. Without your buyers, without your sellers, you don't make any money. And I think if you can really put an emphasis on putting your client first, thinking about your client's reaction to what you say, how you present an offer, how you deal with them on their journey of either buying or selling. And if every decision you make or every conversation you have with them is really thought about, and they feel as though you actually care, you actually have their best interests in mind, that's what really stands out to me as someone who does really well in this industry and someone who's just out there to make commission. And I think clients will sense from you whether you actually care or whether you are just here to make commission and move on to the next client. And I think as a business, it's one of our values to obsess over clients. And I think being able to instill that as part of the training, yes, I can tell you about how to gain area knowledge, or how to learn how to complete a transaction and how to potentially speak to someone on the phone to pick up a listing. But really, when it comes down to it, you have to be great with people, and they have to actually feel that you care for them to want to potentially use you over another agent out there who cares more. And I think obsessing over that customer is probably something that I really do hammer into every new agent that comes through training.
I agree. Gone are the days where sales jobs are about selling and closing and chopping things down. It's more about the journey and the experience and getting the referral, and a loss is also a win because they can spread your name and they can help you do business in another avenue.
Absolutely. And it's so common for our agents to go on to service a client many times or sell the same house 3 times in the space of a few years, and that doesn't happen by chance. If you've not made someone feel really comfortable in the first transaction, or if you've not maybe kept their best interests in mind, then there's no hope of you being that person to complete the next transaction to that person. So I think reminding people when we give advice, when we're training, about how to provide that excellent customer service and think about the bigger picture and not just this one transaction that's in front of them, I think that's what creates, successful agents in the long run for us as a business.
Certainly. I have a unique question that we ask everyone that sits on Agent in the Spotlight.
Okay.
And it is, if there was a book or a movie that you could name that's already out there, that's similar to your Dubai real estate journey, or if you wanted to name one yourself, you could, but what would the name be of your Dubai real estate journey?
If I was to pick one that's already out there, I'm going to pick one that you've actually advised me to read. A huge part of, how we all grow is podcasts and books and sharing knowledge. But I think a book you gave me a while ago called Turn the Ship Around by David Marquette is about a Navy captain who has been tasked with going into a low performing or the lowest performing submarine in a fleet, and he turned it around within a year to being the top performing. And I'm not suggesting that I on my own do that for real estate agents, but as part of the team at Haus and Haus, I play a big role in being able to turn someone with no experience, or maybe someone who has experience that isn't maybe performing to their best, and supporting them in their growth. That book's all about being a leader and not just a leader follower. Like, we can't, as managers and trainers, we can't do the job for them, but we can give them the skills, the knowledge, I suppose the confidence to go and take what we teach them and actually turn that into success. Find their deal.
It's a great book. And I suppose just to echo a lot of what you've mentioned here, that book recommendation come to me from Josh Vegan, who's very good in training in real estate globally, let alone just Dubai. And obviously that passes down to you. You've probably told it to 2 or 3 other people as well. And something that he always speaks to is we need to create a learn it all culture, not a know it all culture. And I think that really does stem from the top, from you all the way down to the agents. And I think that's why people are so receptive to the training, because we take it so seriously. And you guys do a great job in delivering it and adapting it as the market changes and as we grow as a business.
Absolutely. And even it's not all one person. I think that's the big thing about our training team. I think everyone's receptive to training, not just necessarily the directors who obviously feel it's such an important part, or the recruiters. We have all of our top agents coming in as masterclass guests to, combine a session with the training team to deliver maybe some skill or some kind of topic that they are an expert in. And I think that's a really powerful way for agents who maybe look up to these great agents or look up to these key people within the business to learn from them. And I think it's powerful from them not just to hear from us, because they may sometimes feel, well, you don't do the job. What would you know? And yes, I've not maybe done it, or, I haven't, been doing it in this current market or day to day, but when they're hearing the same types of information from someone who is in the role, or maybe using a different perspective, I think that can be quite powerful. So it's
I think anyone that comes in with that preconceived idea slowly quickly realizes in your training sessions that that's not how it operates yet. But thank you, Cliona, really appreciate your time. Very unique episode for Agent in the Spotlight, sitting down with Cliona, our sales residential trainer. Anyone that needs anything from a real estate perspective, please reach out to our agents. We'd be happy to assist. And anyone looking to join and meet Cliona in the training room, also reach out. We'd love to speak to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Cheers.